What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi back with my man Eric Sheets Haber. We are coming off a good baseball night. Not Sheets is coming off a good basketball night. So we both had I actually had a really good lineup, and all I had to do was play DeLon Wright instead of Goran Dragic. But Goran Dragic was on his way to get to 40. It seemed like pretty clearly, and then they sort of fumbled at the end, and he ended up with 30. He still ended up, over 6xing or whatever. But DeLon Wright went nuts at chalk, and Sheets. Tell us a little about your night, and then we'll jump into it.
So I'll do it visually. Can I share my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So for those that were in the Discord last night, I mean, I was playing around my FanDuel lineups, and I said, listen, I feel really bad for anybody who's playing the Monster in FanDuel because this lineup, and I showed exactly what it is.
You're not sharing it, by the way. I want to see it.
I'm going to in a second.
Okay.
I said, this is just not losing. Right. And then I said, the problem is that it's going to be so chalky that I'm sure it's going to be tied with like 5 or 10 other people. Right. And you're like, yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? I played it anyway. And this is the ultimate tilt. There was a 5-way tie for first, all of whom beat me by 4 points. And my lineup was freaking unique. I was tied with nobody. And that is the annoying thing.
Let's see the lineup real quick, though. I actually think
So you would have thought that then like a zillion people would have had this, but I guess because I didn't play LaMelo and I played Curry, I guess that was the one difference. That I don't know how this lineup was unique. This is just a 2x2 off of this one where I had Curry and Hield versus LaMelo and Durant. I think that was the difference.
Yeah, it's. Tomato on this. I mean, like, this is like it's the I mean, I don't know what else to say. I do think it's incredible how unique you can get with people don't realize with lineups ownerships in the 20s.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild. Like more so than I can ever remember. I've had unique lineups where I thought I was just too chalky this year. Anyway,
here's the other thing I want to say that's like really
interesting.
One other thing that was really interesting is that we were talking about shooting guards like the whole night, during the Discord. And one of the issues people had, first of all, Diallo obviously smashed.
Yeah.
But what happened is if anybody who played the other good shooting guards, there were a couple of others earlier, they didn't get to play Van Vliet with no Lowry.
Right.
So that was and that's why Van Vliet, I guess you say, was only 37%, right?
What did I say happens? I'm not trying to give myself like credit, but like Toronto always does something weird these days, and you never know what it's going to be exactly or who it's going to be. I mean, it could have been Van Vliet, by the way. There's another argument that everybody with Van Vliet was nearly dead because, I mean, literally, they've been just resting these guys off and on. They've sort of given up on the season. So, anyway, good job, Sheets. Really nice stuff as usual. You've been doing well at an NBA at a time where very few people feel like they're doing well. I'm actually going back to it tonight. A couple nice tournaments out there. I'm gonna definitely get in on the NBA on both sites a little heavier tonight than I have been.
All right, you ready?
I love the slate too. I'm
ready to get moving.
I'm ready to do it.
Okay. So Boston, Orlando. What do you think about this game? Because I just basically have one play. I mean, well, what do you got for me?
So in the interest of not trying to say every single play, I want to make a point of something we talked about yesterday. That sort of fell by the wayside as other value and things open up, as it often does. And that was RJ Hampton. And he would be the guy from this game that I'm looking at, along with the always monster ceiling guy. And I think they're going to keep giving him some love, Mo Bamba. I'm not buying. I'm annoyed with this team for playing Wagner the minutes that they're playing him. I understand if people want to play him. I don't understand it. I want Mo Bamba. If I were them, I'm just getting Mo Bamba and Carter all the minutes. I still like Mo Bamba. I think the upside is a little too great to pass up sometimes. So I don't know where he'll end up for me, but he's on my list right now.
Very interesting, because I'm a little different.
Okay.
And again, we don't talk about this beforehand, but for me, by far my favorite play on DraftKings, and I think it's probably might be a lock on FanDuel, is Robert Williams. That would be my take over here. I liked a little bit of Marcus Smart, maybe.
What am I missing with Robert Williams? You got to help me out on this one.
I don't know.
I need
mean,
I need to know why the minutes haven't been there. Am I missing something? I'm going to do a quick game check because that is.
I don't know. He's only 5,400. I don't know.
No, I mean, yeah, the price and everything, but I mean, when has it been since he's had a game of 30? I don't even
Tonight.
know. I want to know. I want to know if I'm missing something in their games. Why he's not getting the run.
I don't know. He was injured for a while.
Yeah, but why has he not gotten the minutes in close games when they came back? Why? Yeah, it doesn't even look like he probably was playing down the stretch in some of those games against Orlando. They do play big, so you'd think he would be out there. Okay, all
They'll
right.
probably blow them out anyway.
I'll put him on my list. We can't.
That's
remember the Sheets. That's the other rule. We cannot assume Boston's blowing anybody out. We just did it, and to the team that hadn't won in 6 months in OKC, and OKC beat the hell out of themselves.
Yeah, so that's for me. I had a question mark for Orlando. I definitely see Mo Bamba. I like to play him sometimes. And the RJ Hampton thing, that certainly makes a lot of sense. I would say burned. I didn't think he'd be able to reproduce 2 in a row. And I was dead wrong on that. He certainly did. So, not going to be stubborn about it. He certainly has to be considered. So for me, it's Robert Williams. And then I'll do a little more research on the RJ Hampton thing. And Mo Bamba seems perfectly right.
The only other guy to mention in this game, and I'm sorry to mention so much, but there is weird value. And I also wouldn't be surprised if you see like 1 or 2 guys sit, like just weirdness. I mean, there's just a back-to-backs. They don't need to play all these. It could be Bamba even, but you'll know beforehand. But the one guy who will benefit if anybody sits, and even if they don't, is Ignas Brazdeikis. So the long... you're not going to necessarily want to get a 3K guy in the first game of the night in this kind of current environment. But if he was playing later and even potentially still, I'm considering him as a long shot value play. Going to play a lot of minutes, I think.
Well, I mean, he played 32 minutes in the last game. I guess he's going to be popular, right? I mean, like I've never heard of him, but if he played 32 minutes in the last game, why wouldn't he?
Because there's a lot of value out there, and no one knows who he is.
I just see them announce him starting, and then he's 70%.
Oh, I mean, if that happens, that's a different story. I don't think that's going to happen unless we get guys out. But if you get guys out, he's going to show up as an obvious.
How did he get the minutes? Did he start the last game? Do you know?
I'm sure he didn't. I didn't look, but I'm pretty sure.
There's no way this guy would have started.
I mean, you've got Mo Bamba, Wagner, and Wendell Carter also all playing minutes and starting. So I don't know how, or a couple of them start, 2 of them starting. They're just playing really big. Anyway, I don't think
they're like playing anything. I think they're just, you know what I mean? They're just totally screwing around.
I don't think they're screwing around at all. I think they actually have a plan for what they're trying to do, and they're trying to recreate a team with Jonathan Isaac-like length and see who they could fit in around it. And they're trying out RJ Hampton, who is a rookie, who's talented, who at one point in his junior year was the #1 rated player in high school. And there is sort of showing why that he could be like even a better, he's got a lot of skill. So I'm into these guys a little bit, but again, there's a lot, it's a big slate. I'm sorry to spend so much time on it because there is some really, really good plays coming up.
Yeah, he came off the bench along with, he had the exact same pretty much the exact same RJ Hampton run. He played the exact same.
Yep. That's that to me with a young team with young players who aren't, and with
Mo Bamba and Randall and Hampton.
That's the trend we want to catch on to. Why Wendell Carter is not getting more minutes? Did he get 2 fouls early and maybe that took him out and they were playing poorly? And
No. They got blown out of that game.
Even blown out or not. I mean, first of all, they could get blown out of every game they play. So, you know what I mean?
But what I'm saying is that's why, Carter came out alongside with Cole Anthony, along with, whoever started. I mean.
Yeah, I just think the minutes are in flux a little bit, and they're going to play young guys who are playing well anytime. And when that happens, and you get these cheap guys who can put up, 11 and 12 X's or 2 X's, I'll take those shots on those guys if they're not going to be owned. And I don't think they will be.
Okay, you want to move on to Portland, Cleveland?
Yeah. And by the way, I shouldn't say, I just said about the blowout. Of course, Boston could blow them out, and that should be factored in and including those guys run. But I was just more joking about Boston because they literally, every time they look like they should blow somebody out, they end up losing. All right, Portland, Cleveland. I don't have a whole lot from this game. I'm guessing that, there's a little Osman makes some sense. I don't think I'm going to probably do it tonight, but I'm thinking about it. Dean Wade makes some sense. I don't think I would go Sexton. I don't think I'm going to go Dotson. And I will always say that Damian Lillard is a strong play. He is too cheap and is definitely on my list as an off. I mean, look, he's off the board, and here he is in his last 3 games, 59, 57 and a half, 53. This is actually a tougher matchup for guards than people think, and partly it's the pace, but we know Dame can create his own pace. It's just the problem is he usually plays better in those games where they're threatened. And this is a game they need to win, but it's hard to imagine Cleveland threatening them too much. But he and Nurkic both, I think, are reasonable plays.
Yeah, I actually think Sexton's kind of in play against Portland. I'm just almost in the mood to just stream every ball heavy guard against Portland as they come up. It doesn't sound right 8,100, but I don't know. I'm kind of into it a little bit. I'm kind of into doing a little Lillard / Sexton, that type of thing.
Okay.
And then I think McCollum is just barely not in play. I mean, you know what I mean? I think he's fine too. I just I'm with you with respect to Portland's really trying to win. Right? So they're going to put their best foot forward. And I think these, if Cleveland puts up a fight, you can get you start getting those 40-minute games out of Lillard, and maybe even CJ McCollum too. And so if in fact you get one of those games, I have to feel that either Sexton or Jared Allen or both, right, would do really well. So I don't know, maybe this could be some sneaky game. I don't know. I didn't dismiss this as easily as you did.
I didn't necessarily dismiss it. I mentioned actually more plays than I thought I was going to when I started talking. I do like Lillard. I like Nurkic. I'm not going to get to the Sexton, but I totally get it. I think he's a fine play, against Portland, like you want to do that. And I actually think I can get to Osman. What I would say, Kevin Love, this is a really weird, volatile situation with Kevin Love there and what's going on with him there. He didn't have that game. He didn't even shoot a few games back. Portland, if it was in Portland, I would have more of a narrative-driven thing here, but that's where he went to school. That's where he's from, or near Portland, Lake Oswego. He's a reasonable play on FanDuel to me at 5.9.
Phoenix, Atlanta?
Yep.
So coming off the back-to-back, on a back-to-back, coming off of a really, really, ceiling-ish type performance fantasy-wise, you know me, I'm not playing Chris Paul. If anybody, even though Chris Paul's probably the better price and probably the better play, if anybody from the Phoenix side, I'm just more inclined on the back-to-back to play Booker in this spot. I don't know if I can play Trae Young at 9,600 against a really, really good defense. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. So I do have some interest in Booker, as I probably always do. But I definitely have interest in him. I'm very close to having interest in Capella, but I'm not so sure. And that's pretty much it. I think Phoenix is, they're like the 1 seed, right? They're tied for the 1 seed.
Yep.
That's something that they want,
Yep.
Imagine.
Yep.
So I don't think it's, even though they're back to back, nobody's sitting, Chris Paul's not sitting. So I don't know. I kind of like Booker in this spot.
Oh no, I think somebody is sitting. I would totally disagree with you.
Oh really?
I'm looking at the point. They're favored by 1 at Atlanta. Are you kidding me?
Atlanta's pretty good.
All right. Who is Atlanta? Who is Atlanta? Who does Atlanta actually beat? I think there's something fishy about this personally. Okay. That's my personal take, but maybe somebody's not sitting, but maybe they're really devaluing them on the back-to-back. As of right now, I'm sort of just staying away in this game. I don't really have a whole lot of interest in anything. And
Gallinari off the ceiling performance at 4,600?
No.
Okay.
Especially not if Bogdanovich was out tonight, yeah. But he can always make 7 threes. He made 4 threes in another game a couple games before. He had 21 fantasy points.
I saw that.
I can't do that.
I saw that.
So okay, want to go to Philly, Houston?
Sure. So Philly, Houston. Really don't like much on Houston, especially. On Philly, you could certainly play Embiid to, get 60 fantasy points in 3 quarters. And I really think he can get as many fantasy points as he feels like getting in this game. I mean, it's kind of weird to say, right? But I always feel that way with Embiid for some reason.
Yeah.
So I like that. And I think the price of some of these other Philly guys are good. I don't know if I'm going to actually play them, but Tobias Harris, 6,800 is a good price. 4K on Seth Curry. I see Kirkmaz is out.
Yep.
So I guess that Seth Curry's got to be a strong play at 4K.
Yep.
And then you're into the other nonsense. Danny Green, I know he's not whatever, 3,900. Do we have to have that Shake Milton discussion again? I mean, I don't know. I didn't expect to, like you were talking about the Cleveland, they expected to throw so many names out there. I didn't expect so much from Philly. Then I noticed Kirkmaz is out. And then I'm thinking, what the hell am I so worried about for Korkmaz being out for, right? But that's where I am. I think I don't think I'm getting to Embiid, but it's certainly going to be a good play. And then there's Curry, Harris, Green, and I don't think anything in Houston.
Yeah, I mean I feel like this feels like a hard game to imagine staying particularly close.
No.
And I like Curry still a little bit. I don't think I need to do the Danny Green thing.
Right.
Actually, to me, like instead of Embiid, I'd maybe just say play Simmons in this kind of a game. But
Right.
maybe Embiid, so like he's fine. I just think he's going to be owned too. So like again, he's a guy I wrote down earlier, but I'm just not all that excited about this game from either side. Yeah, that's pretty much where I am.
What do you think of Domantas Sabonis at 10,600? That would be my lead into this game. If you get all these guys out, though, that's where he's going to project. I mean, it's project to be a good play at 10-6. It's going to be up to you whether you can live with that. With other guys, I think I'm presuming Brogdon out for now. But you got to obviously watch the injury report for all this stuff. And I'm also projecting right now Goga being out. So again, we have to see what ends up.
Yeah, happening. We also have Lamb and Sumner too, so it does.
And I have Lamb projected as out too. And Sumner I have is in, but he's not a big deal.
We'll see. I mean, we're gonna.
Yeah, we have to see. Right, exactly. So if all those guys were out, I would say that LeVert is sort of in play. Sabonis. So these guys are now priced like, Durant and Kyrie, right? Not even like Sabonis is like 1,500 more than Durant. And he's not even. I'm saying he's not on the slate, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, sure. I don't know what I can do about that. First of all, let's check the injury report, and I'm going to have to revisit that part of the equation after I get that. Sacramento is, they're in the same spot as they were yesterday. I mean, with all those guys out, the same guys are going to project really, really strongly, like Bagley and Wright and Hield. I would not be surprised if Bagley sat on the back-to-back, but that's me speculating doesn't do anything. Barnes still questionable. I don't know. Harkless remains in play. Holmes had a kind of a weak game, but I said that. I said that he was not going to be the guy was going to benefit really from the guards being out. So he didn't really perform all that well, but he's still going to project okay. And I guess you go right back to them. But again, watch back-to-backs, watch who's out, and one thing I promise you, there's not going to be a lot of defense played here. So it's going to be points to go around. I just don't exactly know at 130 where they're going to go.
Yeah, so I like I obviously like Wright and Bagley if he plays. If Bagley doesn't play, it starts to get into a weird situation. But probably
so Bagley didn't close last night,
which is more likely that he would play then.
But what I'm saying is it was a close game, and they just didn't have him closing.
Yeah, it's weird. So there may be more volatility for his ownership than maybe you want to take on. Anybody wants to take on. I totally understand that. His props and everything look really good for today. Buddy Hield in play as well for me with DeLon Wright, and then this is a game environment I'd like to attack. If everybody else is out, my play would be McConnell, and then that would probably be most of it. I don't think I'm going to I get it. I don't know if I'm going to get to Sabonis. I mean, how many lineups it would take for me to play him at 10-6 here, but I do think it's not unreasonable. He's put up 74 twice in a row. Obviously good match, but so is this one. And I actually think that Holmes would be more in play tonight for me than usual because just because the matchup's good. And I mean, again, don't be surprised if somebody sits on the back-to-back. So it's a little bit, because it's going to be chalky other than DeLon Wright. I don't know if I'm going to be able to eat all this other chalk.
Okay, so if you go to the Memphis-Minnesota game, here's my first comment on this one. So we talked about baseball during the baseball thing, saying how hard it is to win those big lottery ticket tournaments. And we talked about basketball also, but in basketball, sometimes you need to find, in the monster, the single entry 3-max, you don't really need to differentiate too much, but in these types of tournaments, you probably do. If you want to, and this may not even be that off the board, but if you want to play a guy who literally has played no minutes in the last few games because of coach's decision, you could try Brandon Clark at 3,500 here. I mean, we have Jaren Jackson Jr. is out. So I don't want to say they don't have a choice, but if there was a shot for him to smash, coming off of literally 2 straight games of DNP CD, you could play Brandon Clark at 3,500. I'm going to start with that. The other parts of this game don't really have too much appeal to me. Like you could play Joe Val, you could play Morant, or maybe Kyle Anderson, but I'm not. None of them really stand out for me. And the Minnesota thing's interesting. Like Minnesota, they seem a little more balanced than they were. Like they have Rubio back, they have Russell back, they have Edwards, they have Cat. You don't have that same situation where it seemed like one of them was out always.
Right.
So I'm not really coming up with much. Like if you wanted to play Cat, I mean that's going to be a low-owned way to play Cat if you wanted to do that. But aside from that, I mean, I thought I was going to have more interest in this game. I thought, I could play Edwards again. I could stack up Morant with all this stuff. But it seems like the rosters are pretty full. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's weird. The guy who I feel the most drawn to, I mean, I think Cat's interesting, and just as a lower owned option instead of Embiid, I think he's interesting. I personally love Joe Val tonight.
Okay.
I don't know on DraftKings if I'm going to be able to do it, but for a guy who's as good a rebounder as he is, and Cat who surrenders all these offensive rebounds, like I just think he has a big game here, and. Okay. I maybe it's more of a FanDuel. I'm just double checking his price over. He's 8K on FanDuel. Wow. So that's. I mean, look, I don't think he's going to be too popular, but I think that he'll have a. I don't know. I really like him. I don't know that assuming anybody who's going to play for Memphis, and they have so many similar-ish guys that it is hard to know where the minutes will go. But I like your idea about Brandon Clark in a really large field GPP. But at the same time, like guys like D'Anthony Melton or Desmond Bain, like go off every night. One of the or Grayson, like somebody like one of these weird guys always does for this team. I'm just not going to try and guess tonight. Like it's too big of a slate.
But who is playing those minutes? I mean, he hasn't played a single minute, but who is playing those minutes instead of him at that position tonight?
What position? Why do they need anybody at that position? No, it's not like Minnesota has a power forward.
Okay.
And he's a 3. Brandon Clark's a 3-4. He's not like a. They have Joe Val.
Okay.
And Tillman.
Tillman. Well, okay, that's something.
Yeah. And Jaden McDaniels is one of the he's not as good as Patrick Williams, but like he's a guy who is in that mold who just plays a ton of minutes. Again, you're not going to probably want that value by the time this day is over, but at the moment he's shows up as a reasonable value. I don't think I'm going to do the Rubio thing because I just don't know I really feel like, he's played a lot of minutes the last 2. Maybe I should be. I'll put Rubio on my list. I just felt like I wanted to, I don't know. He has played 30 plus minutes in 2 games straight, and yet no one thinks he's going to play more. But I think Edwards is still my favorite play here.
Okay, so this is going to be my.
Look, Wendell Carter now is listed as questionable.
Okay.
Which I thought would happen something for Orlando. Christian Wood listed doubtful, which I don't think will change anything for Houston, but we can revisit it.
Well, it's going to make Olynyk, pop a little bit, no?
Who?
Olynyk, isn't he on? Oh, he's not in Houston anymore?
No, I mean, I don't know. Oh, he's on Houston. But he's like 7,500. I mean,
Okay.
yeah. So I'll take a look back at the projections after we're done with this.
All right. So this is my hot take. Washington, Milwaukee. You ready?
Yeah. What's that?
130. My hot take is that Antetokounmpo is the most popular player on the slate.
I don't think it's a hot take.
I think it is.
Why?
Because I think it's Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be the most popular player on the slate.
Oh, so you think they're going to rest
I
everybody?
think they're going to rest everybody.
I had a thought of them resting. I don't even know like if he would get necessarily in. Like they have a lot of other guys to. I'm just kidding. Bobby Portis would be the guy I would look to if Giannis or anybody was to rest. They've played this game, so there is something to note here. Okay, they've won 3 in a row. They've rested players off and on second half of the season and for the Bucks. And you're going to have to speculate on this one because they have made some late announcements. The Bucks have.
Not that late. And then it's 8:00. I mean, you think they would wait till after 7 to announce these guys are out? If they did that,
I don't know.
Usually what they do, I mean, honestly, it's early because I know this because it's usually about 30 seconds after we load our video.
Yeah.
So it usually is the afternoon. Like when I talk about how great Giannis' play is, and then like literally as soon as like, hang up, whatever it is, then they announce them out. That's because so with that said, I think they do tend to announce those things in the afternoon. So I don't think it's gonna be an issue. That's why that's a hot take. But assuming this game plays, let's start with that. And you know what I mean? Assuming everybody plays, I do think that Giannis is an extremely strong play. I think that Drew is a good play. I think that Middleton's a good play. And I think that Westbrook is a good play. And I think that Beal is a good play. I mean, I think that all 5 of those guys are good plays, assuming everybody plays. And I think that you probably want to get at least one of those 5 players, if not more than that. So to really, assuming that everybody plays, I mean, look, Washington's playing really, really well. And not to say that they're within striking range of Milwaukee as far as talent level goes, but given how they're playing, I mean, the usual blowout risk that Milwaukee carries is kind of mitigated in somewhat, to some degree, especially Milwaukee coming off of like the game against Brooklyn last night. They'll probably come back to the field a little bit with respect to, performance on the back-to-back if those guys play. So I think Washington keep this close. And Washington keeps this close. You get a Westbrook, Giannis, you get even a Beal, Giannis, you get a Westbrook, and because Washington is so, everything's so fast. Drew could pick up some steals. Drew can get to the rim. I don't know, and I like Middleton too. I don't know. I like a lot of guys. I like those big guys in this game.
Yeah, Westbrook put up 80 and 60 the last 2 times he played this team. One of those was without Beal, but I love Westbrook. Obviously, I feel like it's just he's been just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Bertans I like as a value play. I think that there's a chance that he'll get some open looks here, and he took 11 threes in the last game. I do think that this is an upside guy. You can get to 30 fantasy plus with him at 3,600. I actually think that even though it feels chasey, I don't think that Rui is a bad play.
Okay.
I'm not getting to Beal very much, to be honest. I totally get it. It wouldn't surprise me if he had a good game, but like it takes 40 real life points for him to even threaten me at 9,500. You know what I mean?
Is he the guy that's gonna go try to get Bobby's prop bet home or no?
I hope so. I don't. I think they're in win mode, which is Westbrook time.
Well, and if they get out of win mode, I think Westbrook's the kind of guy that might try to get Beal the scoring title.
Yeah, of course, but I don't think that they're going to be out of win mode anytime soon.
Right.
I'm not going to play DiVincenzo. He'll show up as a reasonable value. I'm not going to do it myself. I think both Middleton and Holiday are interesting, and I agree with you that there could be some funny business here, and I would love Bobby Portis in this matchup.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, San Antonio.
Yeah, not really. So the Utah side is going to obviously project well with both the guards out, right? So with no Conley, no Mitchell, you're going to see Clarkson and Ingles show up, and I don't know. I'm kind of interested. I got no problem with that. and Gobert's probably going to show up as a good play, just because of the usage being gone from Mitchell and Conley too. So I like all three of those guys. San Antonio, nobody's popping really for me. I mean, you want to make the case that, the game could stay close because those two guys are out and San Antonio's playing to win. You could play the top guys, which are Murray and DeRozan, I suppose. I don't know if I'd play them together. But aside from that, I don't know. I wouldn't mind just like playing one of those Utah guys if I get to them. The game doesn't particularly excite me though.
Yeah, I'm not interested really in anything particularly here. Maybe you could argue for DeRozan. I'm not going to do the Utah stuff. The only guy I'd consider would be O'Neal if I was desperate, but I don't think I would be that desperate. So look at if we get the starting lineup or whatever early, or they're not going to start him. I don't think. I don't know what just beware about Utah. They're playing to win, but they're also doing weird things. Like they're playing Yang more minutes lately. They don't have they're missing guys obviously. Yeah, I'm just not that interested.
So I'm giving you full disclaimers on this next game because the guys that I'm coming up with, I need to do like much more deep diving into because I don't quite get why I'm getting to them. I'll have to look a little more into it. I'll just throw it out there. On the Denver side of this game, I'm getting Shaq Harrison, Austin Rivers, and Green as all good values. So I got to figure out why, especially the top two guys. The Shaq Harrison, I don't think he's done anything in forever. And Austin Rivers, who I didn't even know was on the team. He's going against his former team, if that means anything to you. And he certainly can always get hot, if that means anything to you. But the Knicks are just a team you don't want to play fantasy guys against. So Jokic is going to obviously rate to be a good play. And I don't know if I'll get to Campazzo. He's probably going to look okay too. What do you know what's going on in this game? Because the Knicks, I don't know about Nerlens Noel, so I don't want to comment on that yet. If he's out, I guess Taj remains in play. What's going on with Denver here?
So, well, I mean, they've had bodies out. They have bodies out. I don't know what else to say.
Okay. PJ Dozier. Okay, that's the other one.
Oh, Dozier on top of it. Yeah, Dozier on top of Murray, obviously. Yeah, Austin Rivers should play a bunch of minutes, and I actually do have interest in him.
Okay.
We'll play Austin Rivers probably tonight. I like Jokic better than the other centers, but I don't think that it's so significant enough that the ownership will probably reflect. Although him and Embiid will probably be fairly close, and I'm not going to probably play Embiid in a game that I think is a three-quarter game. Campazzo, I actually think is fine, but it's probably not. I don't know. He's actually a solid player. He's going to play a million minutes, so I actually do like Campazzo a little bit.
He is.
But my main play is going to probably be Rivers on the Denver side, which feels funny to say. And then also I will be open if I got a Shaq Harrison as starting kind of a thing. But I would be open with that with JaMychal Green as well. So I just think that that's sort of what we decided. So if you do have that save spot for your later game and we don't have a starting lineup, which is very likely, leave 200 on the table so you can switch to Green if he's starting. I would prefer Green starting over Harrison if not starting.
I'll tell you this, these are two real gross late night hammers.
For fantasy, yeah, good game. I mean, real good game. It's just not.
What's the spread? What's the spread in the Denver New York game?
3.5.
Yeah. Who would have thought that at the beginning of the season, huh?
Nobody.
Denver would only be 3.5 at home over the Knicks.
Nobody. But you know who's been unbelievable, and maybe we don't play him, or I'm not going to play him or whatever at this price, but I just want to throw a shout out to Derrick Rose. Like he's been just incredibly efficient too, like in real life. Like, I mean, just really, really good stuff.
I would love for the Knicks to give one of those top teams just kind of, let them take a couple of games off of them in the playoffs. That would give them a little scare. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I think and also, by the way, I do think that Gibson, if we know that there's no Noel, is a good play at 3,700. they need to have some sort of size, you know what I mean, to match up with Jokic, and it can't be just Randall. I just don't think they're going to do that the whole game. It doesn't make sense. They don't put him on the toughest guy. So I think you'll see a lot of Taj if there is no Nerlens.
Yep, and that is another one we might not get for quite a while.
Sadly, yes. But just to re-highlight some of the things, I mentioned Rivers as a value. There's going to be better value that opens. I'm telling we're going to get the player updates anytime soon.
It just always is.
So the regular plays, but DeLon Wright, Bagley, obviously as two of them. Maybe Bagley a little bit less interested in after we sort of talked it through. Westbrook still it seems like a clear cash-in tournament play to me. Edwards, Giannis. I do like Bertans for value. I really like Joe Val, but I don't know if I'm going to pay 8K for him. I really like him, though, in this matchup. And I think Bamba and Lillard, those are the other ones who stood out to me.
Especially now that, not Gordon, Wendell Carter Jr. is a late Q. Bamba becomes, obviously, if he starts, and that's it's pretty good. It's a pretty good situation.
Yeah, definitely feel good about that guy even in 25 minutes. Anyway, we will be with you guys at 6 Eastern. Oh, do you want to talk about FanDuel real quick?
Yeah, I definitely want to get FanDuel.
My bad.
I'd actually write it down. So for me at point guard, there's Westbrook obviously, and then we mentioned Austin Rivers, but I'll go right back to Delon Wright again. Chalk again. Back-to-back, sure, but I mean, it just seems to be a really, really strong option. If you really want to get off the board, you could do stuff like Morant, Drew Holiday, things like that.
I don't think Ja will be off the board. I think he's
really?
Play. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
My natural build would lead me towards Ja, Simmons.
Oh, okay.
To try and get different by just skipping to Wright. But I do think Wright's a great play. I just wanted to throw, to try and get a little different at this position. Cole Anthony's really cheap over here. I still don't think I'm going to end up doing it because of the other options, but I do like him. And then again, you get Westbrook as probably really big chalk on one side and not much less owned over here. Now he'll still have some ownership, but Westbrook and Wright seem to make a lot of sense to me too. And I don't think I will. I still like Lillard very much. I just think that the other guys' prices over here makes it a little bit more tempting to go elsewhere.
At shooting guard, I'll say that if you wanted to pay down, although I mentioned that they're all, they got a lot of guys now, especially these positions, but Grayson Allen plays a bunch of minutes, he's 3,600. You could do worse than that if you wanted to play someone for 3,600. Guys that'll stand out in projections, I presume, is going to be Jordan Clarkson with the absence of those guards. He certainly looks like decent. I did mention earlier that on FanDuel Marcus Smart was possible at 6,200, but again, when I like the kind of lower owned, kind of mid-range guys would be for me, like I said before, with Booker or CJ McCollum.
Yeah, and in that same realm, I guess you'd say I would throw in. I do think Bradley Beal is a little bit more in play because the overall salary cap allocation at 9,100 on FanDuel is much less than it is on DraftKings, and it makes it where if he gets 50 or whatever, you're good enough. I don't see a lot of guys who I feel great about smashing in here today. So maybe you're right, taking a shot on a Booker makes some sense. Maybe even D'Angelo Russell or McCollum, but I think that I'll probably end up spending down on Terrence Davis and Grayson Allen, and I can play Terrence Davis or I can skip and hope on the back-to-back that he ends up getting more run. He did play 30 minutes anyway, even though Wright smashed also. Terrence Davis at 3,800, he's put up 20 or more in 3 straight games, 25, played 30 minutes. That's good enough for me. So he and Grayson Allen as a double spend down, I think is pretty interesting.
Small forward, kind of ugly. Buddy Hield.
Should we be, hold on, let me just say one more thing about that. I think we need to start playing Isaac Okoro. He's 4,200. I know he had an outlier extreme game. He's coming off of a monster. No one's going to play him anyway. Maybe they will on FanDuel, actually. But I do think he's got to be in the mix because he's put up some big games for a guy 4,200. He put up 36 the other day, put up 46 against Phoenix. Like, it's a good matchup, obviously, against Portland. He plays a million minutes. Just going to be on my list.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Sheets.
Buddy Hield, Joe Ingles, Bogdan, if you want to do that. I was saying it's kind of an ugly position. Kyle Anderson, although I don't usually play him. Michael Porter Jr. Don't expect to win the tournament at small forward.
Yeah, Bogdanovich, Buddy Hield. I do like Bogdanovich better over here than I do on DraftKings. Partly I don't love his position, and I like Ingles better than I do on DraftKings too. I think that Osman might be the way I would end up going. Michael Porter Jr., like you said, and that's pretty much my list. And if you get stuck with, I don't think I'm going to do Kyle Anderson, but he certainly has flash ceilings in the past. I'm hoping for something else to open up to get big here, but and then Anthony Edwards is a high price, but I actually think he's viable at 8K even.
Power forward, I had Giannis, and then Bagley. Those are the top guys. Then there was you want to take a shot at McDaniels. I didn't get to Sabonis. Yeah, that's pretty much where I am.
Yeah, I kind of like Kevin Love a little bit.
That's
Love, Bagley, Giannis, obviously, and
is Bagley a good play at 6,500 or not? I'm not sure about that.
I think that it's interesting. I think against this team he could put up 50, like I really do. But maybe with the downgrade now, maybe this is where you could consider Mo Wagner with a downgrade to Carter. So that'll be on my list, I guess. But Aaron Gordon is really cheap, and you're just like, I don't know. These are tougher on FanDuel today. Not as many standouts. Aaron Gordon, Bagley, maybe Wagner, but it's going to mainly be Giannis with some Kevin Love for me.
And for me, center is Robert Williams.
You love this Robert Williams. I think I'm actually wondering because I don't see any projections that have him like amazing today, and I like that you're very into that. It's weird. It's not like you. Maybe your projections.
My next best play would be maybe Rashad Holmes if you'd want to play Embiid, obviously.
Yeah, 3/4 at 90.
Well, hold on. Do I even like Embiid? Yeah, Embiid would be my spend up if I was going to do that.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the massive chalk. It's really hard to argue against it too when you factor in the other high price centers. Maybe to get different, what you do is you play Karl Anthony Towns at lower ownership,
right?
Really more expensive in a game that should stay more competitive. So that's what I would look to, and then I would be okay potentially with. I know this sounds crazy, but I mean at 6,200, I still would take a shot with Bamba. So that's pretty. Oh, and again, I mentioned Holmes that I like earlier. If you're going to stack that game, I do think this is a good matchup for Holmes to kind of go off assuming everybody plays. Yeah.
All right. I think we're good. I mean, well, we're good with respect to what we know now, but what we know now is not what we're going to know at 6. So we will see you then.
All right. We'll get to golf in a minute.